I can't believe Star Trek. Deep Space Nine broke the same television rule twice. When Star Trek Deep Space Nine premiered in 1993, it already felt different. Set on a space station rather than a starship, the show was moody, serialized, and morally complex. But one of the most shocking aspects of DS9 wasn't just its darker tone. It was how brazenly the series broke one of television's most sacred rules. In fact, it didn't just break this rule once. It did it twice, and in doing so, it helped redefine what Star Trek could be. The unspoken television rule. Never disrupt the status quo. For decades, TV was built on a simple premise. No matter what happened in an episode, everything had to go back to normal by the end. Characters could have adventures, confront villains, or experience loss. But by the start of next week, the show would reset. This episodic model was crucial for syndication, where episodes aired out of order. The audience had to be able to jump in at any point. Star Trek. The next generation embraced this rule wholeheartedly. Even big arcs like the Borg's attack on Earth or Worf's discommendation from the Klingon Empire were often neatly wrapped up or left in a holding pattern, ready for the next standalone adventure. Captain Picard might experience trauma in The Best of Both Worlds, but he's back in his chair the next week, commanding the Enterprise with only a faint scar. Deep Space Nine threw that template out the airlock. First rule break. A permanent, evolving setting. Right from the pilot, DS9 dared to do something radical. It created a fixed setting with a political powder keg baked into its premise. Instead of a utopian starship crew boldly going anywhere, we were anchored to a battered space station at the mouth of a newly discovered wormhole, in a system recovering from Cardassian occupation. The Bajoran government was fragile, religious tensions were high, and the Federation wasn't universally loved. This wasn't just world building. It was a gamble. A space station met no planet of the week structure unless visiting ships or wormhole excursions justified it. The writers committed to a slowly evolving political and cultural tapestry, making DS9 a status quo inherently unstable. By season 2, you could feel the tectonic plates shifting. The Maquis rising, the Dominion's first hints, and Bajor's uneasy alliance with the Federation. It was serialized storytelling years before Lost or Breaking Bad. And it fundamentally broke the reset button TV norm. When something happened on DS9, it stuck. Bajoran politics changed. Kira's loyalties evolved. The Dominion War escalated across seasons. Characters aged, moved, and even died, not for sweep's weak shock value, but as a consequence of the story. Second rule break. The villains were allowed to win for a while. If permanently altering the setting was one big rule break, the second was even more audacious. Deep Space Nine let the villains win, and not just temporarily, for long stretches. When the Dominion finally invaded in Season 5, the show didn't hand Starfleet a quick, crowd-pleasing victory. Instead, the Federation lost Deep Space Nine itself. The heroes were forced to retreat, and for several episodes at the start of Season 6, the Cardassians and the Dominion occupied the station. Major Kira, the show's heart, found herself forced to collaborate with the enemy she despised. Odo wavered between his people and his principles. This was unheard of on 1990s TV. Imagine the next generation handing the Enterprise over to the Borg for half a season. Unthinkable. But DS9 embraced it. The Dominion occupation storyline turned the station into enemy territory and the audience into witnesses of an ongoing war of attrition. Even when the Federation finally reclaimed DS9 in the two-part Sacrifice of Angels, the scars of occupation remained. The prophets intervened, yes, but victory came at a cost. And the war continued, grinding on for 2 more seasons until the bitter, morally ambiguous end of the Dominion War arc. By breaking this rule, allowing sustained villainous control, DS9 created real stakes. Every victory felt earned. Every defeat felt crushing. The show understood that to make triumph meaningful, you have to risk your heroes losing everything. Why these 2 breaks work? What's remarkable is that both of these rule breaks, a fixed, evolving setting and villains actually winning, fed into each other. By grounding the show in one location, DS9 made changes feel permanent and personal. By letting the antagonists take control, it raised the stakes beyond any previous Star Trek series. This was television behaving more like an epic novel. The characters weren't just reacting to weekly plots. They were growing, scheming, and adapting across years. Fans could track Sisko's transformation from reluctant caretaker to wartime leader. They could see Kira wrestle with faith and compromise. They could watch Garak, once a shady tailor, reveal layers of loyalty and tragedy. Even the secondary players, Ducat, Damar, Wayan, had arcs richer than many leads on other shows. By breaking the rules, DS9 gave them room to evolve. Legacy. Breaking rules made TV better. Today, serialized storytelling is the norm. From Game of Thrones to The Expanse, audiences expect characters to change, settings to evolve, and villains to actually matter. But in the 1990s, Deep Space Nine